Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever stopped to consider the sheer scale of the greening market and how rapidly it's reshaping economies all over the world? Today, we're doing a deep dive based on the Greening Market Report 2025-2033, which comes to us from Cognitive Market Research. Our mission really is to pull out the key insights from this report. We'll be exploring the revenue trends globally and region by region, looking back at 2021 and projecting all the way out to 2073. And we'll definitely highlight some surprising facts and, where the real growth hotspots are. Now, when we talk about the greening market, it's quite broad in this report. Think about all the economic activities, products, services, basically anything aimed at environmental sustainability. So resource efficiency, carbon reduction, that kind of thing. We're talking renewable energy, sustainable farming, waste management, even green buildings and ecotourism. It's a big umbrella. And the numbers, well, they are genuinely eye-opening. Globally, back in 2021, the sales revenue was already over $270 billion. Fast forward to 2025, and that's expected to climb to nearly $391 billion. But here's the really impactful part. By 2033, it's projected to almost triple from those 2021 levels. We're looking at an incredible $817 billion. That translates to a global compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of about 9.6%. Pretty significant.
It really is. That underscores the sheer momentum, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's striking, I think, is how quickly this sector isn't just expanding, but fundamentally shifting global economies towards more sustainable ways of doing things. It's a very clear signal of where investments and innovations are heading worldwide.
Exactly. So this massive global shift, what does it actually look like on the ground? This is where it gets really fascinating, I think. We're going to break it down region by region. We'll see how North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, South America, the Middle East, and Africa are each contributing to this, well, massive expansion.
Right. And as we dive into these regional specifics, it's useful for you, the listener, to think about what patterns jump out. Maybe where are the unexpected drivers? Where do you imagine the biggest leaps forward are happening, and maybe why?
Okay, let's kick things off with North America then. In 2021, the report shows the region recorded over $108 billion in market revenue. By 2025, that's set to climb to nearly $156 billion. And looking out to 2033, it's projected to more than double again, hitting roughly $315 billion. That's with a KGR of about 9.2%. And within North America, no surprise, the United States dominates in sheer volume. It goes from about $83 billion in 2021 way up to over $237 billion projected for 2033.
Yeah, the U.S. scale is huge, but looking closer at North America, it's interesting. While the U.S. has the largest slice, Canada and Mexico are actually outpacing it in growth rate. Canada is seeing a CEGR of around 10.2%, and Mexico is close behind at 9.6%. Both of those are higher than the U.S.'s 8.9%. So I think this suggests that while the U.S. market is massive, you've got maybe Canada's carbon pricing and renewable investments, plus Mexico's push in ecotourism and sustainable agriculture.
Yeah.
These things seem to be driving disproportionately faster shifts in percentage terms. It feels like a continent-wide acceleration, not just one country driving it all.
That's a great point. Okay, moving across the Atlantic now, let's look at Europe. This region saw nearly $78 billion in greening market revenue back in 2021. That's expected to expand to over $112 billion by 2025, and the projection for 2033, almost $229 billion. So Europe's growing at about a 9.3% CAGR, similar pace to North America, roughly.
And what's particularly interesting in Europe, I find, is France's projected growth. They have one of the highest regional KGRs there, over 10.8%. And this isn't just about the size of the economy. It sort of speaks to a broader embrace of things like circular economy principle across the continent. France, for instance, they've been quite active with legislation, promoting product repairability, reducing waste, and that translates directly into growth in these green sectors. Even the rest of Europe category shows pretty significant dynamism. A 10.7% CAGR, that tells me the greening trend is really widely adopted and accelerating beyond just the biggest economies there.
Right, spreading out.
Okay, now let's talk about the Asia-Pacific region. The report really highlights this as one of the fastest growing markets globally. Starting at just over $51 billion in 2021, it's projected to hit a really remarkable $167 billion by 2033. That's with an impressive 10.6% CAGR, a really significant jump.
Oh, absolutely. And digging deeper into Asia Pacific, the rapid growth there is, well, it's multifaceted. You look at India, for example. India stands out with the highest CAGR in the region, almost 11.9%. And the surge in India, it isn't just about renewable energy, though that's part of it. It reflects a massive push in green manufacturing, sustainable urbanization projects. It seems like it's transforming their whole development model. And then you have places like Singapore, not far behind, showing even more aggressive growth at a 12.2% CAGR. So you see these diverse hotspots of really intense greening efforts across the continent, smart cities, advanced waste to energy, lots going on. Wow, okay. Shifting south now. South America, its greening market was nearly $18 billion in 2021, and it's expected to surge to almost $60 billion by 2033. That boasts a 10.8% CAGR. So another really strong growth story there.
Indeed. And if you look at the drivers behind some of these regional trends, both Argentina and Colombia are showing particularly strong growth. Their KGRs are exceeding 11.5%. That signals, I think, a robust commitment and increasing investment in green initiatives across various economies in South America. A lot of countries there are, well, leveraging their natural resources, aren't they, for renewables like hydropower and solar, but also alongside sustainable agriculture practices.
Makes sense. Okay, next up, we arrive at the Middle East market. This region reported over 10.5 billion in 2021. It's projected to increase to just over 26 billion by 2033. So this region has a KGR of about 7.3%, a bit lower than the others we've discussed.
Yes, it is interesting to note that while the overall Middle East KGR is lower, you still see countries like the UAE experiencing pretty robust growth, about 8.6% KGR for them. And that showcases, I think, these targeted efforts towards economic diversification, moving away from the traditional oil-based economies and into sustainable sectors. Things like major solar parks, green city developments, even if the pace across the wider region is a bit more varied.
Right, pockets of strong growth, even within a slower overall regional picture. Okay, finally, let's turn our attention to Africa. The report identifies Africa as the fastest growing region overall, starting at just under $5 billion in 2021, which sounds small compared to others, but Africa's greening market revenue is projected to soar to over 20.5 billion by 2033. And that comes with the highest regional KGI of almost 13.4%.
That really highlights Africa's immense potential in this greening sector, doesn't it? And what's maybe even more significant is that the rest of Africa's subregion, so excluding maybe some of the larger single economies if analyzed separately, is leading the charge with an incredible 13.8% KMAGR. That underscores a really widespread and accelerating shift towards sustainable development right across the continent. And this isn't just about, huge government projects. It seems to be driven also by grassroots innovation, things like off-grid solar, sustainable farming, localized clean energy, often leapfrogging older, less sustainable technologies entirely. It's quite dynamic.
That is incredible growth. So stepping back now, looking at the big picture for you, our listener,
Yeah.
what does this all mean?
Well, if we connect all these threads, the green market isn't just expanding. It seems poised for a truly transformative decade ahead. It's accelerating globally, going from that $270 billion plus figure in 2021 to over $816 billion projected by 2033. We're seeing especially strong growth, as we discussed, in Asia-Pacific, South America, and Africa. And specifically, Africa really stands out as the fastest growing region overall, that KGR close to 13.4%, with its rest of Africa subregion leading the charge at nearly 13.8% CAGR. This explosion in the green market's value, it's not just about environmental impact, important as that is. It's actually creating entirely new economic sectors, new job markets. It's really transforming how nations might compete and will thrive in the coming decade. So I suppose, given these rapid and frankly profound shifts in the global greening market, it raises an important question for you, doesn't it? What new opportunities or maybe challenges or even personal shifts might this bring for you? Whether that's in your career, maybe your investments, or just simply how you view the future in this transformative decade.
Something definitely worth thinking about. And remember, this deep dive was made possible by the invaluable insights from the Greening Market Report 2025-2033, brought to you by Cognitive Market Research.